I think when you're managing your own jiu-jitsu, you have to be... Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Bulletproof for BJJ podcast. I'm JT. I'm here with Joe. Q&A for BJJ. You've got some questions. We've got some answers. Go to bulletproofforbjj.com. Click on the podcast tab. Scroll down. There's a red button. You can leave us a voicemail. Let us know who you are, where you're from. We'll help you out.
So we haven't done the Q&A for a few weeks now.
Yes.
Do you need me to bring your mic down as well?
No.
You good?
Never.
You haven't done the Q&A?
Turn me up in the headphones.
Because we've had an issue with the podcast desk. It was related to the Bluetooth, which,
We resolved it.
Tech
It's good.
shit.
We're good.
So it's good now. So we got a little bit of a backlog, but we're working through them. First one, I got to replay.
Please.
Let's just hear this one out. Charles.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you suffer from sore and swollen knuckles after a hard class of jiu-jitsu? I have the answer for you. The Fingertine, custom designed by our friend, the Grip Physio. Now, these wraps are specific for your fingers. Wrap them around, work them through, and reduce the swelling so you can recover faster and be back on the mats in no time. You can get 20% off when you use the code Bulletproof20 at checkout. Go to thegripphysio.com.
Bulletproof BJJ, it's Charles Allan Price. Big shout out to Joey and JT. Shout out Mark McQueen. Love you, fellas.
What did he say at the end? Mark McQueen?
I think so. Is he referring to your hair, Joe?
I got no idea. But that's Charles Allan Price. That's a homeboy of ours.
Yes.
Big shout out, Charles.
Big up.
He speaks fast. We
does.
played that.
And
We played
missed.
it like 2 months ago, and it was just like, oh, that's some English who
was that
wanted
guy?
to say big ups. Totally missed that it was a friend of ours. And
Yes.
Big love to Charles. Charles has the podcast with Eoghan O'Flanagan.
Yes.
He's Eoghan O'Flanagan, strength coach. He's got great shit on Instagram. Check their podcast out.
Yeah, Charles and Owen experience. We saw him at the ADCC.
Yeah, we hung out a bit.
Eoghan O'Flanagan is a killer and will also be at the CJI.
And Owen's a killer at the party too.
Oh,
the
yeah.
after party.
Yeah, he was having a good
Charles f***ed up and had to fly out before the after party. He assures me he hasn't made the same error this time around.
Thank goodness, because the CJI after party is going to be lit.
So yes, let's jump on to the next one. CP.
Hey guys, love the podcast. Tonight in one of my roles, I found myself in a little bit of a quandary. I hit a really good straight ankle lock on another white belt. However, he tried to blast backwards out of it, and I let it go. The round ended, and afterwards the coach kind of accused me of sandbagging and not performing to potential. Kind of my question is, when should I start focusing on that tap? And, should I be worried about the other person's safety to kind of get it? Thanks, guys. Much love from the U.S.
All right.
CP, fair question.
Yeah, and look, man, I would say this. It's a bit of a dynamic to juggle the expectations of your coach and just gauging yourself, right? Because there'll be times when your coach wants to push you on because they feel that's the right thing for your jiu-jitsu. But at the end of the day, you've got to make the call in the heat of the moment because you've got to know what was the right thing to do for you. And, sometimes you're wrong, sometimes you're right, but it's much better for you to win or lose based off your own reasoning and determination than anyone else. Like, your coach can just look across and be like, oh, he gave up on that footlock. But if you had injured the person, then you also have to live with that. And that's something you got to deal with, right? You thought it was the right idea to let it go. Your coach maybe didn't. But I would say ultimately it comes down to your decision in the moment. And you probably made the right decision.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a tough one for us to know because it sounds like there's a bit of context to maybe the coaching that you've been receiving. I'm thinking if the coach was a reasonable cat, and I consider myself a reasonable cat, and I might have a response like that to a student who I've been telling them like, hey, stop letting things go. Like I want you to like see it through to the end. This is an important part of your journey. that if they then made that same mistake that I was telling them not to make, that I'd be like, dude, like, I could, or maybe your coach is just a bit of an asshole and you just kind of weren't going that hard, and now your coach is giving you a hard time for not getting the tap. So it's a little bit hard for us to know. But I would think like, yeah, look, you don't, if there's something that you can glean from that, like glean that thing. So if the thing is, well, I had the foot lock and they just kind of pulled out of it and I lost it, well, then next time, like, you could do a bit better in terms of securing it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you got to hurt them. It
No.
just means a better understanding of the braking mechanics and the control, and then taking that through to the point of submission so that you're like, okay, I've ticked all the boxes of that sequence or of that position.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, there's more than two sides to that coin, in the fact that maybe they just wanted you to tap that particular person too. You know, like there's another element there. So don't stress. Don't stress. You're early in the journey. You will get there.
But mate, straight ankle locks, white belts, that's a beautiful combination right there.
Yeah, get it.
You'll enjoy those until the end of your days.
Do you find you get thirsty at training? I do. I do all the time. I'm a sweaty human and I need to hydrate. Now, the biggest problem is by the time you're thirsty, it's a little bit late. You need to hydrate. And that's why we got Sodi. Sodi is sponsoring the show. We've got all the colors of the rainbow. Great flavors here. We've got salty citrus, salty pineapple, salty berry, and my favorite, salty grapefruit. And they will be releasing 2 new mystery flavors soon. So why do we need this? It's going to prevent our muscle cramps. It's going to help our energy delivery. And it's also going to mean you're less tired, which is an advantage when you're training. If you want to maximize your jiu-jitsu and feel good when you're rolling, you need to get Sodi. And when you purchase, enter the code Bulletproof20 at checkout for 20% off. Oh yeah.
Hi guys, this is Maria, currently speaking from Germany. I started the Jiu-Jitsu 6 months ago together with Thai boxing. I've never done martial arts before, and I was definitely afraid at the beginning of the sports. A few months in, and my coaches and training partners are always giving me a good feedback, saying that I'm learning really fast and progressing fast, and I'm happy to hear it. Soon it should be my first competition, and my problem here is, as a white belt, I'm trying to be careful while rolling to not hurt another person or by accident. If I roll with skinnier women than me, I don't know how to not use all of my weight, and I'm afraid I'm not being fair if I'm not adjusting my weight to theirs. Both with men and women, I'm afraid if I'm too spazzy and not careful enough. I usually stick to techniques we learn at the class, and I'm good at transitioning from one to another when I feel the first one is not working. But I am not that creative because I'm afraid I would do something stupid and not logical, and also that I would not be able to be careful enough to not hurt another person. Do you have any tips that would help me be more careful while rolling as a white belt and not being too spazzy? And also, I love your podcast and love listening to you guys. Bye.
Thanks, Maria.
So nice.
Yeah, what a legend.
Well, I'm going to say right now, it sounds like you are far too self-conscious as a white belt.
I'd agree.
Spaz. Go hard. Break some shit. For me, it sounds like, based off what you said, you've already made some really great improvements. You're competing within your first 6 months. It sounds like you're on fire. It sounds like you're going great. The fact that you're considering your training partners already tells us that you're a considerate training partner. That's really good, you know? And the thing is this, even when you're trying not to squash somebody, it's jiu-jitsu. You're squashing them. And even when you work really hard to be super careful about not injuring someone, you might tweak something. That's kind of the game. So the fact that you've already considered, hey, I don't want to be the injury machine, indicates you're a good one, good on you, well done. But also, if you're going to compete, you should know that you're going to be going up against injury machines. So I don't know if you guys ever remember, there was a show back in the day, which was battle bots or whatever, and people would get lawnmowers and add choppers and shit.
That's a sick show.
And they
put them in a cage.
Yeah, and it's all about just destroying each other. That's white belt. That's, when you go to competition, that's white belt. It sounds like you're a bit of a secret weapon. I would say you've already taken a great first step, but don't be so self-conscious it holds your jiu-jitsu back. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. First of all, I think it's cool that like Germans are using the word spaz.
Why not? I'm sure there's a good German word for it too, but within jiu-jitsu,
it would be
it's
much
there.
more eloquent than ours, I'm sure.
Yes.
But I think like, you're probably overthinking it a little bit. However, you did mention like when you're rolling with smaller women, and I think that, if you are rolling with people that you have a clear size and strength advantage over, you should be putting a bit of your concern towards not hurting them. Like I think that's very useful in that scenario. However, when you roll with someone that is maybe equal size to you, when you roll with like men who are be it maybe smaller, bigger, but if there's not if they are a bit stronger than you, or you're rolling with higher belts, you've got license to just go for it. And of course, like we're not trying to be uncontrolled. We're not trying to like elbow our partner accidentally or do anything uncontrolled, but you should have plenty of people in your gym that you can really go hard with.
Yeah.
And it's okay for you to do that, and that's part of the game. And so, if you've got a comp coming up, sort of prioritize rolling with those people more, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing 3 rounds tonight, maybe you do one with one of your smaller counterparts and you go a bit lighter, and then 2 where you just rip in and, try to smash.
Yeah.
I think that's your right as a jiu-jitsu player.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you're concerned about like knowing who should I do that with, who should I not, ask your coach, and your coach should be able to direct you.
Yeah, for sure. And also know that like if you're rolling, doesn't matter, man or woman of a similar size to you, and they're a higher belt than you, and you're like, oh, I can armbar them or I can choke them. Do it. That's respect. You are giving them the respect of a good roll. If you don't catch them and you don't do that, then you're weakening them in a lot of ways. So it is actually in their best interest for you to give them your best. So don't hold back.
Yeah, we got one of the coaches here at the gym, Tima.
Yep.
Purple belt world champion.
Yeah.
Right, won worlds this year. She's an extremely strong and athletic woman. And I've seen her train, like I've seen her in class roll with other people and even guys that she's clearly stronger than. And she has to like tone it down a bit.
Modify.
And then when we roll, she's like, you can see she's like, good.
Unleash.
And I'm often like, Tima, relax. like it's surprising, right? Catches you off guard. But, she can just go for it. And it's like, that's the agreement and the understanding. And that's important.
Yes.
Very good. Last question of the day coming from Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want the best gear for BJJ, you need to go to pariathletics.com. These are our guys. They support the show. George, great guy, great creator, awesome colors, awesome styles, and also the best fit. It feels great. And that's the thing. It's not just that it looks good, it feels good. And the thing that for me, I love the most is I can wear the stuff at jiu-jitsu, but then also they've got that other side, the cool side where you can wear it off the mats. And they are our exclusive partner in apparel. If you want to get bulletproof gear, you've got to go to pariathletics.com. And when you buy anything at checkout, enter bulletproof20 for 20% off. Oh yeah.
Hey guys, Chris here. Really loving all the content you guys are putting out, the Sandbag program. I really appreciate everything you guys are putting out for us. I've been following you probably for the full year now I've been training. And I just kind of had a question about my particular situation. I really just want to hear your thoughts on a less optimal kind of training situation and how you might be able to supplement that. So, like I said, I've been training about a year now, and I go to about 3 to 4 classes, which are a mix of competition and fundamentals. But really, it's gotten harder and harder with my wife being pregnant, and we already have a kid. So I'm probably going to have to limit my jits to 2 days. And right now, that looks like either 2 comp classes or 2 morning fundamentals classes, plus some like open mat on the weekend whenever I can. There's also a combo class on the weekend that I would like to go to sometimes. So it'll probably end up being about 3 classes most weeks. But the 2 fundamentals classes in the morning that I'm thinking about are run by a blue belt who is a really good wrestler. But I'm kind of worried about missing out on that knowledge I get from brown and black belts, which wouldn't really be there during the comp classes anyways. Um, so just wanted to hear your thoughts on that situation, what you would pick. I'm leaning towards the morning fundamentals. I like top control and takedowns anyway. So just curious to hear your thoughts, man. Thank you.
Okay, there it is. One on the team and one to come. That's a challenging situation because there's so many things. And speaking as someone who has no children and never experienced a pregnant woman or a newborn, but I got so many friends who are always wording me up because they see that I'm in the lane. I'm primed for that kid town. I think when you're managing your own jiu-jitsu, you have to be flexible. So the fact you're like, I'm just going to do the 2 mornings, or I'm just going to do the 2 comp classes. Hey, man, I don't know. Things can get wild that first year of a young child. You might get 1 morning and then 1 comp class, right? I don't think you need to decide right now. What I would say, which is maybe something you haven't considered, is what happens when your wife is sick and your baby is sick and you can't leave the freaking house. You need to have like a home gym set up.
You got to train that baby up from day one.
Yeah, you need
drilling partner.
You're going to need some smaller kettlebells, smaller sandbags to get them lifting. No, I would say the biggest thing that's been presented to me by all my good friends with kids, and I'll let Joey speak to this in a second, is you need to be able to keep your health and fitness up even if you can't even get to the gym. That's what I would say. I was like, set yourself up to be as flexible as possible, because I think once that new baby comes, man, it's all bets are off.
Yeah, I reckon, you got the choice, the comp classes or the fundamentals. I think the fundamentals sounds good. You're leaning towards it. Be it whoever's coaching it, right? If doesn't matter their rank, but if they've got something to teach you, which it sounds like the coach does, that's great. All I would say, and I know that like if you got if you got a young family, that getting it out of the way in the morning is often the best way to do it. So I'm guessing that's part of your decision there. The maybe where you will lack a little bit is if you're not doing any technical work around like your guard and the other non-wrestling parts of jiu-jitsu. I don't know, maybe you can just see, because it's not like you want to be working on multiple different projects at one time anyway. But what you could consider, right, if you say you got 12 weeks down the track and you've been like, we're doing heaps of top game and wrestling stuff and that's going great, but I'm neglecting everything else. Maybe you engage in an online platform where you can do a little bit of study at home. You do, 30 minutes. You go on Submeta and you subscribe to Lachlan Giles, like I did this week.
Oh.
Yeah, so good, man.
Yeah.
I was like, I just need to review some shit. And I'm like, it's right here.
Bro, it's so good.
Yeah, but you just do something like that. You watch a couple of videos, make 20, 30 minutes once a week. And whether or not you even get to practice that stuff, even just watching it's going to help. But maybe then you can do some drilling. And then maybe when that baby grows up, get yourself a little drilling partner and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Guessing that's a few years down the track. But yeah, I think you got a system there that's going to work.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. Best of luck with that. That's it's a good time to be alive. Looking forward to it.
Also, sounds like he's doing pretty well with the training, grit, following the sandbag program.
Yeah, that's great.
It's cool. Like, probably sounds like you got maybe a good little setup at home, which is optimal.
Yeah, I believe so. So there it is, folks. If you have a burning question, whether it's about training, stuff in the gym, whatever it is, jiu-jitsu related, hit us up. Leave us a message. Let us know who you are, where you're from, and maybe even let us know what belt you are, because sometimes it's hard for us to gauge the advice because we don't necessarily know where you're at in the journey. But guys, please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review on your audio platforms. We appreciate it, and it gets it out there in the world. Thank you.
Big ups.